Kids do not do drugs. And adults, trust me, I know this must sound very hypocritical, but
What you want? I got ketamine, meth, MDMA, Adderall, bromo dragonfly, heroin, coke, crack, codeine, oxys, perks, Vikes, PCP, LSD, Dilaudid, mescaline. I got Molly, I got her sister Sandra, I got Big Frank, I got birth control, I got Plan B, I got that morphine from China. They took off the market to make it hard, make it soft, fine dick. There's from Kenya. Supposed to be a scurvy cure and silverback gorillas, but for humans it just makes them violently masturbate. Did I say crack? Because I got more of that too.
Crack.
And now, it's movie review time! With this video's movie... Oh, I am so sorry about that. I really do try to be as energetic as I can, but sometimes content creation can be more taxing than one can imagine. And one can do with a pick-me-up. Usually I go for coffee, but today I have with me here a bottle of vodka. And I also found this huge pile of blue powder that I probably shouldn't put in my body, but I am not one known for making good decisions. So, what the heck? Oh wow, that is some good as shit. Imperial Blue, and no, not the Yvonne Chaka Chaka variant, but quite adjacent, kicks off in Mumbai, India, where our, and I struggle to call him this, protagonist, Hugo Boss, I mean Hugo Winter, is in the middle of a drug trade for what is advertised to be the strongest hashish in the world. And just a minor tangent, if you are from the 9-1 and you have a connect, kindly hit me up, please. Thank you.
My nigga.
Okay, getting back to it, in the middle of this trade, the movie's MacGuffin is introduced, the titular Imperial Blue, which I actually appreciate. It's nice to get the plot of the movie rolling as early as possible. Anyway, this mysterious blue powder is introduced by its street name, Bulu, which actually gives it more credit as a drug. And as any good plug would do, he leaves him with a description of what effects to expect.
They say it makes you see the future.
Boy, ain't no way, boy.
Leading us to the next scene and the first check on a special game that I prepared especially for this movie review, the Drug Movie Bingo Card. So, the 5-0, the Heat, the Fuzz, the Blues, the Pigs, the Plots, the Barbies.
Several days later.
The Gumshoes, the Popos, the Cops arrive and we break into a chase scene.
We are the police.
We are the police.
The police of India.
The police
Of course, one has to slip and our protagonist gets away because we need to have a movie. Upon gaining enough distance to warrant safety from the pursuit, Hugo does what any other sane drug user would do. I already shot that. Yup, he finds a sketch corner and takes a deep hit of the mysterious blue.
It smell like budussy, booty, dick, and pussy.
And who would have thunk it? It actually does what the plug said it would do.
And flung him into the future.
As Hugo and the audience are treated to spoilers, I mean visions of the future from this movie. Hugo wakes up dazed and confused, wondering why he and you aren't subscribed to the African Entertainment Reviews channel for more entertainment just like this. Yes, you should subscribe right now. Back to the more pivotal concerns from Hugo's drug-infused visions, such as: why is there a little Indian girl holding my drugs? And what is this Hollywood sign? Actually, scratch that. Why isn't the original Hollywood sign written on wood? And why again am I seeing this menacing man walking towards me as I hear? And finally, why am I dreaming about this black chick? Wait, no, I always do that. Okay, never mind. As he walks away in his confusion, the little Indian girl beckons to him holding his little baggie, just as he had seen in his drug-infused visions, leading him to believe that these may not just be any other ordinary hallucinations, but they just might be premonitions. So he decides to test this theory by visiting the next location he saw in his visions, whereby outside the temples he finds the plug that gave them the hashish and the blue.
Get over here!
After a very brief accusation of him being the one that set them up, and absolutely zero consideration to his connect who is already in custody, he swiftly shifts his focus to the primary source of the blue, where he is pointed to Africa.
Who's the connect? A Rasta guy from Uganda gave it to me. It's a place called Fort Lugard, okay?
Fort Lugard, Uganda.
More specifically, Fort Lugard in Uganda. So, at this point we know our protagonist, well, at least by name, and we know where he needs to go. But what we do not have is a motivation. And without that, well, your movie kinda sucks. Ergo, to find that, we need to travel once more, but not to Uganda, this time we go to London, England. Where? Oh, would you look at that? Walking out the door is our next check on the drug movie trope bingo card. Wouldn't you figure that Hugo is a dad, but not just any dad, he is a dad from a broken relationship. One that we are meant to surmise is a result of his constant drug reliance and drug dealing, given the cold shoulder his previous partner continues to give him throughout this entire scene.
You have money or no?
I need 2 more weeks. Bobby, I love you.
Seemingly, this London beat is where we get to know Hugo better, so the movie takes us to our next destination, which, actually, is also the next check on our drug movie trope bingo card. Well, make that 2 checks on the bingo card, as we are dropped into this underground rave where... yeah, checks out. That's exactly the kind of music you definitely need to be high to enjoy. Fuck you! And as for the second check, this is where we get to encounter Hugo's boss. I genuinely did not anticipate saying that unironically throughout this video.
Surprise, motherfucker.
And I gotta say, mad props to the technical filmmaking present in this scene. First, and while some people might say it's a bit cliche to have a kingpin look like a kingpin, this guy, perfect casting for a drug lord. And secondly, my god, that blunt is the most realistic thing in this entire film. A joint that slim only exists for commercial purposes. These guys are definitely dealing. Anyway, with this encounter, we are made aware that Hugo's trip to Mumbai was actually a drug smuggling trip for this kingpin where he was supposed to get the hashish and bring it back to London. But as we can all remember, that was royally screwed up. Hugo though is a quick-thinking scoundrel, managing to talk his way out of this by convincing the kingpin to give him more money to travel to Uganda and bring him the blue.
You are a cheeky fucker, you.
The worst things to be, my friend.
And with that, we have our motive set. Hugo needs money to settle his debt with a very dangerous group and the cash to stay an active part of his child's life. Now that that's set, Africa, here we come. In the U of G, UG is short for Uganda, for those who do not know, we are first brought to the village of Makana, where our secondary protagonist, Chisache, resides and is the location for the growth of the Imperial Blue plant. Here we are quickly brought up to speed on the situations on the ground. Chisache's father Chitosa was the village healer. Some may call him a witch doctor, who, through Blue, would use his visions to aid the village and its people. However, he had had one too many snorts of the Blue Man Group dandruff and succumbed to it. A very sad situation for sure, but one that benefits Pastor Isaac, who wishes to upend the possession of the land, kicking out Chitosa's family and beneficiaries in favor of some very unscrupulous promises, thereby giving our secondary protagonist her very own motive. She needs money to save her land. And what better way to do that than everybody's favorite fast money-making economic activity? Drug dealing. Maybe I should get into that. Now that we're all caught up with the proceedings in Makana, we can move to the Fort Lugard side of Uganda. And whilst not exactly a montage, heck, we don't even see more than one collection, I am still going to use this scene to check off one more item of our drug movie trope bingo card, as we follow Chisache's sister Angela making a collection on behalf of Fort Lugard's kingpin. Shortly after this, Chisache, who has just made her way to Fort Lugard, meets up with the sister requesting for a meetup with the kingpin, Pape, which Angela declines.
Sweetie, watugamba, a good Christian never deals drugs.
Forcing her sister towards the age-old adage, if you want something done right, then do it yourself.
Good luck.
Chisache, however, is not the only one who's just made it to Fort Lugard, as Mzungu, Hugo is also here. And as luck, or fate, or whatever it is these blue visions are tied to, Hugo is taken directly to Hollywood.
You know any bars called Holly something?
Let me take you to Hollywood.
Yes, the one actually written on wood. I swear, when I called Hugo Mzungu earlier, I had completely forgotten that this conversation exists in this movie. But things have a way of working out, so here you go.
The word Muzungu is based on a Bantu verb, Zunga, which means moving without purpose.
It's a little stroll in the woods.
Henceforth, the white man was christened Mzungu.
the aimless wanderer.
And in this little bar in Hollywood, Ross finna make his move, you know. Trying to battle that high greedy. And as luck, or providence, or whatever it is we decided it was, would have it, despite not running his green, Hugo was not barking up the wrong tree.
Green, huh? Mm-hmm. That's close. But I'm looking for something new, something blue.
Ross hooks him up with a girl whilst he goes to look for Pape, and Hugo decides to venture into another trip to the future, despite being given the keys to the gates of heaven. I probably should have checked this off the bingo card during the first hallucinogenic trip, but I'll take the double whammy as this time, whilst Hugo is out, Angela steps in to rob him. Hugo wakes up oblivious to this and walks back into the bar, whilst Angela, in an attempt to not get hustled by Russ, gives the money to Chisache to hide. And now, our protagonists are in the same location at the same time. And Hugo, noticing Chisache from his visions, decides to make an introduction. Hey girl, you must be the woman of my dreams.
Who are you?
I mean, that's not exactly what he said, but that's as well as it goes regardless. They do get to talk about the Blue though, and they actually do strike a deal.
And maybe even a pet Mazungu if you play your cards right.
You see? Brother still got there eventually. Anyway, it is at this point that Hugo discovers that he has been relieved of his capital and brings his grievances to the big dog, Pape. And again, not a bad kingpin. The casting is really on point. We get a bit of chill dialogue, well, until Ross shows up and Hugo blows a gasket. And in the spirit of them putting their hands on him, I'm gonna punch this off my bingo card. Anyway, lucky for him, Chisache is nothing like her sister, and on top of saving his life earlier, she actually returns his possessions. So our two protagonists finally make the trip to Makana.
Your village must be really something.
It's called Makana, just another African shithole.
Hey! Words hurt. And I must say, from their first scene at the bar, through this journey and pretty much throughout the entire movie, these two actors do share a lot of on-screen chemistry. I am pretty sure I've mentioned this in another video, but we do not say Hakuna Matata! Damn you, Lion King! And just when our protags are about to get home, Angela joins the party.
Isn't that the girl from the bar?
She is my sister, unfortunately.
Upon arrival though, we get our first on-screen glimpse of the Pastor Isaac. And after being welcomed by the church, Hugo finds himself a more warm welcome. From my experience of watching movies, it is never a movie about getting high without the presence of the Most High. And I definitely do not need Bulu to know that that joke will not land all too well with most religious types.
Respect. In the name of the Most High.
Okay. Here we have a short night mass led by Pastor Isaac, which Hugo doesn't seem all too enthused about. The dripped up reverend has his sights set on Chisache as the target of tonight's prayers. Hey yo, whoa, what? Oh, okay. Sorry, I completely read that wrong. I didn't know where he was going with that. And once the entire church is focused on prayer, Angela has her focus on some white meat. The two sneak out, grab a drink and, you know, pow, 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 pow. Well, actually you don't, cause they do not go through with it. Hugo instead decides to step out and join these two characters whom, admittedly, I haven't shown enough love in this review, but you would actually have to watch the movie to appreciate them just as much. And for the first time in this movie, Hugo actually starts to address some serious concerns from his visions.
What happens if someone dies in one of my visions? How can I stop that?
No. Only you can't stop.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Which cuts us right to the next morning where Hugo had passed out exactly where they were enjoying their night spree. And if you've been paying attention to the bingo card, there is something I could stamp out right here, but I will hold on to it because I think I can do one better. Hugo makes his way to Chisache's house, raiding it in hopes of finding his Bulu fix, but he cannot find any. However, he spots her walking into the forest and presumes, quite accurately, that she is heading for the raw material, thus he decides to follow her. Whilst Chisache isn't particularly enthused about the stalking, she doesn't quite stop him, and the two make their way to the blue flowers. However, she does give him a caution against eating them raw.
If I were you, I wouldn't eat that. Unless you want to get seriously ill.
To which, nobody is surprised that Hugo did not listen. And now, I get to stamp off that trope from the bingo card. And whilst the white goat is out cold, it's not wholly an insult. It's actually Chisache's pet name for Hugo.
Stupid white goat.
Chew, white goat. Chew.
We are treated to some local family drama.
Kikulinya ku mutwe. Okola kino omusajja oyo. Okozeewo ki okutuyamba senga? Okujjako okutunda ebyafaayo by'ekika.
That is also coupled with a bit of sibling interaction on the go. And since this is a review, this conversation actually carries quite well into the end.
Ate tutwale sente ze tumuleka abundire ku kkubo.
Despite all the friction that Hugo's latest trip had just raised, it came with a massive silver lining, as during this vision he witnessed a child in peril. And immediately after coming to, he sprinted straight for the lake and executed a very clutch save. So, of course, after saving a life based off what is basically a premonition, this can only mean one thing. A new Messiah has risen! Yep, the white savior complex, which can be argued to be the main theme of this movie, kicks in, leading us directly into this very heavy-handed confrontation.
Let me tell you something, messenger of God. It was I who saved the Roomba just now. Not you, nor your bullshit Holy Ghost. I did it. I used the power of an ancient African substance to save that little boy's life, not some Christian mumbo-jumbo. Now that is a fucking miracle.
And we are now heading into the climax of the movie, meaning things have to heat up for everybody. Chisache rats out her sister Angela for being the one who stole from Hugo back at Hollywood, bringing those two into fierce loggerheads.
Get the fuck out.
Fuck you, impotent junkie.
I usually do not stop videos to point out my jokes. Hollywood, loggerheads. Come on, the pun is just too...
Get the fuck out.
Anyway, with that, I think we can stamp out one more thing from our drug movie trope bingo card. On Hugo's side, things are also ramping up, as his ex-partner sends him a video showing that the kingpin in London visited them, threatening his son for his money. And upon seeing this, Hugo of course makes the most logical decision. Get the blue, travel home and settle his debts? What are you on about? Hell no! He takes the blue for himself to see the future. I mean, haven't you been following this movie? And after a deep... what he sees is... what the...
You have the witch's blood. His voice. His stench.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have found a way to stamp one more thing out. Actually, two. And Hugo, guided by a drug-infused vision and followed by a very angry mob, charge into the church and stop Pastor Isaac before he can defile Chisache. The mob jumps him and the mob justice gives me yet another thing to stamp off the bingo card. With everybody preoccupied, Angela gets a prime opportunity to sneak into Chisache's house and steal the blue, which leads us into yet another chase scene. And a confrontation that was never going to end well. At this point, Hugo has gotten to the farthest point any of his visions have ever shown him, so he has absolutely no idea of what comes next for him or what to do. Well, technically he knows what he has to do. He takes more blue. This ultimately turns out to be a move that sends him to the ancestral plane. And you can only imagine how confused the ancestors were receiving him. But hey, I will give them this. They are not discriminatory. And I don't know about you, but to me it seems like they're having themselves a hell of a good time. Chisache, on the other hand, traces Hugo and finds him. And so she ends up doing what she said she wouldn't do.
Ate tutwale sente ze tumuleka abundire ku kkubo.
Bringing our story to an end. This 2019 psychedelic fantasy thriller is touted to be the debut feature film of British writer-director Dan Moss, Ugandan producer Samulema Daniel Katenda, and British writer-producer David Cecil. And right there, we have a very phenomenal feat, as it is not commonplace for a feature-length film project to have all its senior level and lead staff having their debuts all together. Even more impressive is that most of the production team were actually locally sourced, with them being teachers, graduates, and even current students from the Kampala Film School, a school that was actually founded by the writer-producer David Cecil back in 2011. That said, I believe that this actually accounts for some of the criticisms levied against this movie, some of which I actually do share as well. For instance, the pacing of the film overall could have been a bit better, and playing up the comedic or tension-filled aspects of some scenes could have made them even more gripping. The video editing was very solid, but it could have gone a long way to cut out some of the more unnatural pauses so as to have these conversations flowing smoothly. On the other hand, the sound editing and mixing was a bit wonky at some points. I also believe that this film was working with a very tight budget, which explains away the reason why this film actually went very undermarketed. But I am very thankful that I actually found this film and I quite enjoyed it, and reviewing it was a ton of fun for me. Overall, they were working with a very great concept and a story that is very relatable wherever you are in the world. You have seen a visitor, mostly a foreigner, who was a bit overzealous. Now, there exists a certain remark that I have seen floating around various websites as I was conducting my research. I believe the original to be from a reviewer at The Guardian, cited as follows: "Imperial Blue aims at a knowing satire of colonial arrogance. Yet still, somehow, it's all about the white guy." And I cannot wholly disagree with that, mostly because the interpretation of art is usually very subjective. However, from my viewpoint, it is less of a satire of colonial arrogance and more of an allegory of the white savior complex. And while it was never initially intentional, and probably never came to be, with each passing scene and especially every premonition granted by the use of blue, Hugo most certainly overestimated the influence of his intervention. And one can definitely see a future if he had successfully smuggled blue to London, where he would come back to Makana time and again, each time leaving behind a piece of development to keep winning over the locals' affections. Or maybe, just maybe, I might be very high on Smurf skin flakings. Anyway, that is all I have for you. Subscribe to the channel for more movie reviews just like this. It has been your soon-to-be favorite uncle, Uncle Omari, and the premonitions given to me by Snorting Bulu tell me that I will most definitely be seeing you all in the next one.